And we are live from the Odoo experience, indeed. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gianmarco Panciroli, and I'm working as a customer success manager at dFakto. So I know that you all have a brochure where it's written Thibaut de Wilder. Thibaut de Wilder is our CEO. Unfortunately, he has been blocked. Well, he's still in Dubai, so no chance for you today. You won't have our CEO, but you still have me, which is better than nothing, I think. So just very briefly, who is dFakto? dFakto is a gold partner located here in Belgium, and we just opened also a French office. We, of course, as I said before, we are an Odoo partner, but we really gain a huge experience in data and in managing a lot of data. So today we will focus more on overcoming data quality challenges in modern organizations. And it's funny because before coming here, I was maybe like some of you in one of the talks, and the talks we say, oh, data is very important. Data is like the petroleum of the future. We saw it like for the new dashboards. But are we sure we understand what does it mean? So data mature business are more profitable than others. What does it mean? It means that 80% of mature organizations receive answers in minutes or hours. For all the other organizations, it can take days, it can take months. We have some of the companies that we work with that were able to take decisions with 6 months of delay. Can you imagine during the COVID crisis? What does it mean taking decision with 6 months of delay? And it's also true, based on statistics, that organizations with the highest level of data maturity are also the most profitable and reported 3.2 times as much revenue and 2.4 times as much profited. So what does it mean is if you have data, if you have good data, and if you're able to manage them well, you have more chances, basically 80%, to work better and to be more profitable. And today, you know probably much more better than me, there are a lot of data. They come from different systems, too many systems, and tomorrow it will be even worse. Why? Because there were 5 exabytes of information created between the dawn of civilization, so a long time ago, through 2003. But that much information is now created every 2 days. Can you imagine the same amount in 2 days? And as I said before, it's going to be even worse. Look at the evolution between 2020 and 2025. It's going to be 3 times what we had in 2020. In 2025, we will have 3 times more, which of course has a very important impact on your organizations. Either you do nothing with your data and you live with that and good luck. Either you start to use your data, but you need to make sure that you're going to take the decision based on the good data. And your organization, which is normal, also grows and changes. We are Odoo partners, so I guess you have sometimes some migrations, you have some implementations, you have some interfacing with new systems. They come up every day from different customers. So you have data sources changes because you have a modification of an additional IT solution. So a system needs to be interfaced with another one. Or you have a new coming data sources because the marketing manager found an amazing application that needs to be fed with the contact that I have in another system. Always the marketing normally, and need to connect this relevant data and check if potential data quality issues. And then we have the business needs change, which of course, because we live in a world that changes constantly, customer evolution, nature of their needs can change between today and tomorrow. You know better than me probably, customers have needs today, and tomorrow you can be sure that this need is going to be different. And then you have technology changes. Well, you have Odoo that releases 1 version per year, first of all. But you have a fast evolution in data technologies, and you have organization facing permanent changes and rapid obsolescence of technologies to meet new needs. So we live in a world where there are data source changes, business need changes, and technology changes. Without forgetting that the context is quite challenging. Why? Because of silos, technology silos, see the existence of a generalist and vertical tools often coupled with organizational silos. So you have a lot of silos in organizations, systems that they don't talk to each other without any good reason, possibly. You have the business pressure, you have data consumers who want qualified data connected and easily transformed. Again, marketing, marketing's fault. You want the data, you want the fresh data, the new data, the latest update. You have the regulatory pressure. we don't forget that we live in a context, especially here, where the legal framework is becoming more and more complex. You have the Data Act, the Cloud Act, the Privacy Act, GDPR, and other initiatives just to stay here in a European Union. You have technology modules. There is no longer any magic or one-size-fits-all solution. I know it can be hard to say here, but there is no magic one-size-fits-all solution. Different modules must be put together and discussed. And I can say that because we have been working with a lot of big projects and big clients. And for political reasons, for legacy reasons, for maybe not even good reasons, you are obliged to co-work with different systems. And then you have the scarcity of resources. I'm sure you're well aware of this. There is a pre-shortage of talents in the recruitment. We have quite a competition here with with the noises. There is a pre-shortage of talents in the recruitment market coupled with the hyper-volatility of IT employees. So we are living in a world that is changing, living a lot of data, and is very challenging. But the quality of this data remains the main issue. Why? Because according to surveys, 55% of CEOs have concern regarding integrity of their data, 55%. Which also means that 33% of organizations trust their data enough to use it effectively and derive value from it, which means that 67% they don't trust the data that they are using or they're collecting. And when you don't trust your data, you can't trust your own decisions. And if you can't trust your own decision, you can't follow a strategy. That's why we came up with what we call so far the Odoo factory. So let me introduce it. What does it mean? As I said before, we have Odoo, but we might have different sources. So we might have Shopify, we might have SAP, we might have, you name it, all right? We live in a context where we have a lot of applications, and it's not always good to customize Odoo to make Odoo talk with all those sources, especially in the long term. So as I said before, we have different sources that are put together in what we call the Odoo factory, thanks to different extractors. We have more than 500 data connectors with different systems. And what happened in what we call the factory? We put all the data together, coming from different systems, and we check the data. First of all, we create a data model based on the data vaulting methodology, which consists in creating a model that is understandable and exploitable by business. Okay? So you know probably better than me that in Odoo, the table of customers is called REST partner, and you have plenty of other things. In SAP, it's probably called ABC because they don't want people to understand so that they can pay a consultant, very expensive. In the Odoo factory, we call the things how they are. So the table of customer will be called customers. And we recreate a model that can be exploited by the business, creating communications between the other systems. And then we have the output. We could have the elaborated report, like CRM report, sales report, or even data quality reports, or even feeding one of the sources we have been using. So for instance, we can take the information coming from Odoo and SAP. We take it together, we do some quality data check, we do some business enrichments, and I will explain this later on, and we could send it back to SAP or Odoo, the good version of the data. So first of all, coming from the Odoo factory, the first part is extracting the data. So for this, we developed a very easy tool. It's nothing revolutionary, but it can be quite handy in order to extract the data from Odoo. Defining the frequency, could be hourly, daily, or weekly. Defining the form, could be CSV, Excel. And the destination could be a directory, an FTPs, an S3 repository from Amazon. So that the data can be easily extracted from Odoo in a structured way. So how does it work? It's quite easy. Can you see the screen? Yes, it doesn't work. Okay. So for example, if I go in the sales module and I select all the sales orders in the export, a view that maybe you can quite well. You can select all the different fields to create your template of export. So here, for example, we are selecting different fields, and we save the export for the sales orders. So it means that in Odoo, as you know, we created an export template behind. And thanks to the, thanks to the scheduler, we created a list of exports that can be automatically exported or even manually exported. So here we are using a schedule actions, you know, to launch the generation of the files that will be dropped on an FTP, on a, I don't know, on S3 server or on a different repository. As you can see, you can even download it by the fly quite easily. So now we have the data, right? We took them from Odoo. We could have taken from SAP, and good luck for that. We could have taken from Shopify or a number of different systems. And now we need to put them together, and we need to ensure the data quality, right? So for that reason, we developed a standalone product, which is called Data Factory, where we can create our own data quality checks. Data quality checks or enrichments. So what does it mean? For example, here, that's the view of the Data Factory, again. We have a module which is called data quality, and we can create as many data quality checks as possible. Why? Because you want to make sure that the data that you receive from the different systems, they are correct. Because don't forget what we said before, we live in a world where we have a lot of data, but possibly they're not correct. And if you don't trust your data, you cannot trust your decisions. So here we can create, for example, a data quality check, very easy. For example, every product must have a name. What is the source? The source is Odoo, coming from the product table. And too fast. No, OK. So since it's a video and apparently I cannot go further. So as I said before, you can create your own. Can I? Up. No, OK. So, OK, I will just repeat while the video loads. We can create different data quality checks of different level. So, for example, the first quality check is the first level, the format. We want to know that the format is correct. For example, when you're expecting a date, you want to have a date and not a number, right? You would think that it's like this in all the system, but it's not. The second level is the intra-sources quality control checks. So you want to make sure to have the selected information at the right moment. So for example, if you have a qualified opportunity, you want to have at least an amount and at least a percentage. Otherwise, your opportunity, even if it's qualified, you just don't have the good data. And then you have the third level, which is the inter-sources. So, for example, I can be called Gianmarco in one system, but in another system, which is often happening, it's Gian space Marco. And that's just not correct, because my name is Gianmarco. So we need to define, based on which rules is the master system. And pay attention. It could be for one rule, it could be system A, and for one other system, it could be system B. And then you have the business plausibility. As you can see here, in the meanwhile, I've created a quality check. I just want to make sure that name is not null for the product name. So those are the levels that I was talking about: format, intra-sources, inter-sources, and finally, business plausibility. That's quite interesting because, you know, as we said before, making mistakes is human. So for example, if you are a company and your revenues is 1 million and you create an opportunity whose amount is 3 million because by accident you typed one additional zero, that's a quality control issue. You could have your amazing reporting, but the data are just wrong. You could think to be rich, but in fact, no, it was just a typo mistake. So we check the business plausibility based on different rules. And what we do is that we assign the data quality checks based on criticality. So you could have notifications saying, OK, this quality check, it's not very important. You know, it's John space Marco. That's not the end of the world. I won't cry at the end of the day. Or you can have a warning. So you need to check why this data is not correct and solve it. Or otherwise, you really have an error. So for example, if you have a product without a price, that's an error. You need to fix it. Because otherwise, all your reports or your margin profitability will be wrong. So just to say where we started from the extraction of data from Odoo. And thanks to the data factory, we put all the sources together. We make them talk with different API or structures. And we do the quality checks. And what's the output? You need to reuse those data. Well, there are different ways of using the data. You can re-inject them in the ERP, because now you have you can trust your data. You can correct them. Or you can have reports. And reports are quite interesting because they are just not on one source, but they are between different sources. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sources. So for example, you can have your accounting on Bob 50 and your CRM in Odoo. OK, but you need to make them talk. And at the end of the day, you could have reporting. So we developed standard reporting like for sales, for CRM, and data quality. So I don't know if you can see from there, but we can dive about this later. So we have a report about your data quality, like, OK, you have data, a lot of data, but what's the percentage of correctness of those data? 100%, 91%, 5%? We have customers that started with 10% of correctness of data, and I finally arrived after a few months to 60, 70, 80, just to training, just with governance. So that's it for today. Now I'm leaving for a Q&A. We kindly invite you to visit our booth. In order to leave your details, and we are offered a 10 Odoo factory directly tailored to your needs, to those that will be extracted. So that's it for today. I hope everything was clear, and thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. If anyone has a question, you can raise your hand, and he's going to answer.
Well, just one question. Which technology do you use for the reporting part? Is it built in dFakto and in-house reporting, or is it like Tableau or Power BI or so on?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we are techno-agnostic. It means that it's a customer who decides. We have all the reports in Power BI, in Tableau, Tucan, ClickSense, ClickView, although they are quite deprecated. So we feed the reports coming from different sources with different technologies.
Has anyone else a question? No?
Is it because I did a good job or a bad job?
Well, no one else? Yep.
You were saying that customers start at 10% data quality, but if I map the fields out of an Odoo or an SAP system, how is the data quality bad?
Sorry, can you repeat? I couldn't hear.
So if I gather a KPI based on fields from an Odoo system or an SAP system, and you were saying that there are customers which have a 10% bad data quality. Can you maybe elaborate on this?
Yeah. So, for example, as I said before, you can have an opportunity, right? You can have 10,000 of opportunities, but as we said before, maybe the amount is just not correct because it's not, that's what I showed before. The amount, it's not plausible for your company. Or you can have opportunities that are all linked to the same partner, A. Is that plausible? Is that correct? So it's not because you type it with Odoo or with SAP or with another system that will be correct. Because people, they just do mistakes. So for example, we have a customer that says, you know, for the name, I'm sorry, for the name of the contact, you have to type something. So what people they do, they make them compulsory to create a contact. They put a point. It's compulsory, it's filled. For Odoo, it's fine, or for other system. So they implemented a rule saying if you put only 1 point, it's not correct. So people will start doing 2 points and 3 points. So, but that, you cannot manage all of this in Odoo because people will find their way. So you need to put some kind of data checks, quality checks, to make sure that the real data that people, human people have typed are correct. Is it clear for you? Thank you.
Does anyone else has another question? No? Well, if you want, you still have 7 minutes. So if you want to explain something more or give some clarification about one slide.
No, thank you. I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.